You're listening to Represent, the Queer Musical Theatre podcast. My name is Dr. James Lovelock, and I'm an academic and a huge musical theatre fan, exploring the representation of all things queer in the musical theatre industry. Our guests today are the effervescent Joshian Angelo Omaña and the fabulous Finton Flynn, who both appeared in the UK tour of Everybody's Talking About Jamie in 2024. We explore Joshian and Finton's experiences in the industry, including Joshian's performance as a fridge, a double-denim-wearing museum curator, and a bee in Why Am I So Single, and Finton's concert appearances as one of Lola's angels in Kinky Boots, and as a porn star in Shooting Star, a new musical. As always, you can follow us on your favourite podcast platform, and don't forget to share this episode on social media. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Joshian Angelo Omaña. I'm currently in the cast of Hamilton West End. I've been in Everybody's Talking About Jamie, Why Am I So Single, Parent Agency, and also work with Johannes Radebe in his Strictly tour.
Hello, my name is Finton Flynn. I'm an actor, singer, dancer. I have been in Everybody's Talking About Jamie. I have been in Stranger Things the musical. I've done a lot of other things. I've done Kinky Boots. I did some other things when I was younger as well, some TV work. Done a few bits and bobs. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, thank you both very much for that. So I was going to ask you to start off with a little bit about Everybody's Talking About Jamie, since that's the show that you met and you were both in.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and touring the UK and being in that production.
I mean, I loved it. I mean, it was my first musical contract coming out of college. So I just graduated in 2023 from Erdang. Went straight in and I was on stage swing, second cover Jamie and Psy ensemble. And it was a bit daunting. I mean, it was my first proper contract when it came to musicals, and obviously it was one of my favorite musicals growing up anyways. I mean, I've always wanted to be in it. But yeah, I loved it. I loved the contract. I thought it was fresh out of college. I was very excited for it, and just being in a room full of musical theatre people that just really inspired. I mean, it was a very queer space. I mean, there was a lot of drag queens in there and past people that have done it before. So there was people that I looked up to. There were people that there were Johnny Partridge that were queer and we looked up to as well. So it was nice to work with new and different people, and then also met Finton on there as well during the tour, and just getting to know everyone was just it was a lovely tour. And touring around the UK for the very first time. I mean, actually it was my second time. But with Johannes, that was kind of like a daily pit stop. That was Jamie was more of a weekly touring situation, but absolutely adored it. I mean, for my first musical, I mean, we kind of smashed that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Finton?
I loved it. And weirdly, when I first came to drama school, one of the first things on the first day somebody said to me that was in one of the older years, in the third year, she looked at me. It was Mate Heather, bless her. I love her so much. She's great. And she's another northern gal like me. Yeah. And she literally looked at me and she just said, "You're Jamie, you." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, you're Jamie." But I was quite far removed from musical theatre before I went to drama school. Yeah. I wasn't this big musical theatre fan. I am now. I always love musical theatre, but I just wasn't so much like, this show's on at the West End and this person does this and da-da-da-da. Yeah. So when she said it, I was a bit like, really? I don't see that for me. And then when the call came through after drama school that I was in for it, I was like, bloody hell. I was like, right, here we go. Do you know what I mean? It'd be lovely to play one of those school kids at the back with the little ties on. Do you know what I mean? And then from the second round, they were like, we'd like to see you as the first cover Jamie. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's happening. But yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, getting that role, being able to play that role was fantastic. And I was lucky that I had a lot of opportunity to play that role and to grow the character. And it was very rewarding for me, especially when we were around the northern venues, to tell that story to a northern audience. Yes. It was the most rewarding thing ever. Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about Jamie, is that it is so linked to Sheffield. Although I think the original Jamie knew was from Durham.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But actually the musical itself is so linked to Sheffield, which is where I'm teaching at the moment.
Oh,
actually,
Whereabouts?
I teach at Sheffield Hallam University.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
lovely.
So I've kind of been around that sort of place and around the Crucible Theatre where it started and all of that sort of thing.
They've got a great hub for theatre there. I feel like they've got a really good creative sort of outpost.
And I think there must be something very exciting about having a musical like everybody's talking about Jamie coming to the Crucible Theatre. Because one thing I notice about Jamie is that there's quite a few jokes which are about Sheffield. And they sort of land in most places, but
Not always.
Not always.
Not always.
Especially the snooker
Yeah,
jokes.
you'd be going to Sunderland or some places, they would not getting anything, literally.
I'm not sure that Parsons Cross is that well known outside of Sheffield, but it must be very different going to the theatre where it started and the kind of being within that space.
Yeah.
Did you do Sheffield? Where you?
Yeah, we did Sheffield close to the end, didn't we? So
Yeah.
like those sort of northern venues, your Sheffields, your Leeds,
Yeah.
but those sort of northern audiences where they get it,
Yeah.
I feel like it makes it so much more rewarding, especially as being on stage. You can tell when you have an audience where they're like, there's
on
a
board with
difference
it,
with an
yeah.
engaged audience and a non-engaged audience. And when you tell a northern story to a northern audience, they're always going to be engaged. So it
Yeah.
makes it so much more like special for us, and it gives us more energy to like, right, let's really give it everything in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? In work about, let's go. So it gives you that extra bit of fire to just really send it home.
Yeah. Josh, and do you find that about Welsh audiences as well? Have you done any shows there, or when you were growing up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when we went to Cardiff, everybody's talking about Jamie.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's more of a northern story, so I haven't been in a Welsh musical yet.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But going back to home for Cardiff for Wales, for me personally, when I went with Jamie, it was a very special thing. I mean, like, not a lot of people can get out of Wales, especially to pursue this career. I know like a hand select few, because obviously when it comes to the arts as well, it's just not as viable. Do you know? It's quite an expensive industry to be part of before you even get into it. So going back to my hometown and just showing that someone from Wales can also make it out of London and then make it onto the stage back where you came from, that's special. I really, really enjoyed that by going back to Wales, and especially going back with Johannes as well. I went back for one night, and just having like Welsh people just don't get as much, I would say, the arts overall anyways.
Yeah.
It's hard to access, isn't it?
Very hard to access. So I think going back and bringing that over is amazing. And I think for me, I just absolutely adored doing that. Do you know what I mean? It was a good one for, like, I don't know, especially having an Asian person as well. I think that also brings it up as well. I'm like, oh, I love showing that there are so many people like that can do this as well. Even just knowing one person in the audience is like, oh, that looks like me. I can do that as well. So that's really special to me as well, as a Filipino Welsh person. That's, you know, I've got a lot of things going on. So it's just like, you can do it, and it's so possible. So that's why I really enjoyed about going back to Wales for any kind of venue or anything.
Yeah, because I think there's something really important that we don't always talk about when we're talking about queer representation, is that, you know, queer representation, you're not just queer. There are all sorts of other kind of intersecting things about us. And actually, this might be the first time I've spoken in any detail about kind of regional places in the UK, and, you know, and how a queer audience in those spaces might respond differently to a London audience, or, you know, a big city audience like Birmingham, where I'm from. And so I think that's really interesting, actually. And I was thinking about sort of other stories which are set in those sorts of places. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen any queer stories, Josh, that are set in Wales or that are set in specifically, is it Leeds that you're from?
Yeah, I'm from Leeds, I'm trying to think. There's not really, I feel like now, especially when you step away from theatre as well, that we are telling more queer stories, and we're telling more stories that aren't necessarily just from a straight white perspective, and we are now coming into telling these stories, and it's trickling into theatre. I mean, I guess you could even say realistically, Kinky Boots is a sort of queer story that touches upon lots of things. That touches upon father-son relationships, talks upon regional's approach to homosexuality, and lots of different things. So I guess they have been telling these stories, and I just think now I feel like now new work is coming more to the forefront.
And I think it's being normalized as well. Like, even it doesn't have to even be the forefront. I mean, musicals like Standing at Sky's Edge that was made in Sheffield has a queer couple, and it touches upon like their dynamic and stuff like that. But it's not like even the forefront of the story. There's like multiple storylines going on, but it's nice to see that it's just being integrated, rather than sometimes obviously queer stories can be like lifted and put in a way that it needs to be, you know, shown that, you know, this and this. But I'm really enjoying the fact that sometimes even in the background there's a queer storyline, and it doesn't have to be, you know, that's just them as a person, and then they have other things going on as well. I mean, think about Artie from Why I'm So Single. He was a queer character and like was kind of mentioned, but he would always come to, you know, sort out the mess that they have with friends with Oliver. So it's kind of nice having like, it now is starting to become more normalized and being integrated.
Tell us a little bit about playing the role of Artie. I'm so gutted. I saw Why Am I So Single quite a few times, and I'm gutted that I missed you playing that role. So tell us a little bit about how it felt going on and doing that, and how you approached it.
So with Artie, I mean, I was already auditioning like the Artie role when I first, when I found out, you know, Why Am I So Single was casting and stuff like that. And then I got second cover, Jamel was first cover, and then Noah Thomas was the role, of course. They did fantastic performances, both of them. So learning off them and seeing how they found the characters also very interesting. I mean, Noah and Artie actually are so similar. It's actually so funny. Like, there's actually no difference. Like, I mean, Noah is like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I love Noah. He's so dry and just like humorous, and like he's so caring as well. And like, I think Jamel was also very like, I feel like we were all quite similar in that sense. So like, I mean, feeding into Artie was quite an easy task, I think. I mean, like, you kind of just have to like be the one to be like, oh God, what are you guys doing? Do you know what I mean? I can definitely feed into that. I mean, finding the character for myself, I mean, working with Lucy and like, you know, the directors and stuff like that, and, you know, seeing how they saw Artie and stuff like that. I mean, I remember Noah saying that when it was workshopping, Noah didn't want Artie to be the black friend that comes and saves everything. Like, he wants to be the one to kind of make it for food for thought for them, and just be like, to see like, what are you guys doing? Like, he didn't want it to be a token character. And that's what I really enjoyed about it, because he like would come in, he would like kind of like tell them off for like, why are you guys doing this? And then leave. Like, he wasn't fixing any of the problems, he was just like bringing up the problems, you know, of their situation, which I absolutely loved. The thought of knowing that information at that point. I mean, my first ever show, I was so nervous. I mean, at that point, I had never been like the cover principal yet, and I think I was just so nervous for it that I don't even really remember that first show. I remember like, was everyone there that first show that I was on?
I was sobbing my eyes
out. I had so many friends and family in, and I feel like they were more nervous than I was.
Absolutely.
I was like, oh my God, guys, calm down. Like, I'll be fine. But also then I was like, wait, why are you guys nervous? Because now I'm nervous. But yeah, it was so rewarding. I mean, he had two really good songs. I mean, See You Never and Clubs and Glorious Clubs, fantastic to perform. I mean, as a performer that was like commercial, does tap a bit, and then also just like, I mean, I was rooted in pop sing before I even started musical theatre. I mean, that's where my singing journey started. It was just so nice to have this refreshing music from like, you know, Lucy and Toby, and it's like performing it out. I mean, Artie, working with Joe and Lisa, I mean, playing next to them as well, like the energy they give you just makes it so fun and like exciting. Even Colette as the alternate and Jordan as the alternate, like they all gave different things, and I think that's what was so nice about it. Like, we all had our own queer experiences and our own like, you know, allyship towards these characters, and like, you know, we all brought a different flavor to each time we performed it, and that's what made it so nice. And also, we were all really good friends like backstage as well, so like it just made it so much easier. So when we were on stage, it was actually just a ball of laughs. Like, we actually just really thoroughly enjoyed it. And I mean, when you watch the show, like, it's jokes upon joke upon joke upon joke. Like, it doesn't stop, and it's like, it lands so well that it just kind of, I mean, it made it easy. I mean, I found it like really, I mean, it took a hot second to like, you know, get the words and stuff like that, but I mean, like, it was like, as a character, it kind of fed into itself anyways. But yeah, I absolutely loved covering Artie. I think he is such a fab role, and if Why I'm Single ever came back again, I would love to just like, I don't know, play him or cover him again. You know what I mean? It was such a fun, interesting character. And, you know, he definitely has his like things going on, but I mean, like, he just loves shutting down Oliver and Nancy, which I thought was hilarious. Like, I thought it was brilliant.
If you're interested in LGBTQ+ representation in musical theatre, check out our website www.queermusicals.com for lots more information about musicals with LGBTQ+ characters.
And another thing I think as well, touching on Why Am I So Single, which I think was nice for me to watch you in, was the fact that with queer stories and representing gay people, sometimes it can be like, oh, I'm coming out and it's really hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and everybody, you know, and it's really hard to be gay around here. And, you know, no one accepts it, which was so refreshing to watch Why Am I So Single,
100%.
which was such a different interpretation and story of queerness. And it wasn't rooted in, I mean, obviously, yeah, there were parts where it was you know, the identity and the struggle within that, but it was nice to not have a sort of story where it's like, I'm coming out and the bullies are homophobic to me. And it's nice to, we're stepping away from that traditional story of queerness and now we're stepping into something else.
Yeah, more modern and more familiar to a lot of us, 100%. I mean, when I first read the script for Why I'm So Single, there's a part in Disco Ball when I didn't even know, there was no music yet either, I just had the script. And I was reading through it, and there was a big monologue in it, and Oliver's just breaking down, and just throughout the whole show, Oliver's kind of ignoring and, you know, kind of just making jokes constantly to avoid the fact that they are also, you know, trying to figure it out, and also kind of just, not the self-hatred, but the queerness of like. It is kind of a self-hatred, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to just like avoid everything. But in it, they kind of just break down and you see all the cracks and stuff like that. And when I was reading it, I was like, oh, is this story about us? Do you know what I mean? I was actually like, oh my God, it's never hit a nerve so much when I've like read a script before. As in like, I've never like, so then when I first went into the room, I was so excited to like hear this monologue, because I just thought like, if I read this and I cried reading it, I can't wait for everyone to listen to it and just like feel that. And even like a queer, like non-binary person just like in the audience knowing that. And like, I mean, we've all had our queer experiences. I mean, I'm not non-binary, but from that, like, I feel like we all have kind of like a similar journey in a way. Of feeling these type of ways, especially with the modern technology and like how romance and stuff like that is just different nowadays. You know, we all have that kind of like, you know, that inner saboteur, I guess. So listening to that and hearing that and then putting out to the stage for other people to see was just, it's amazing to know that that can be translated now onto stage. And I feel like that for me was the first time I've been like, whoa, I've really felt something. Even though with Jamie as well, I felt like that as well. But this one especially, I was like, I really related to Oliver's character in that way. But I thought Why I'm a Single was so refreshing. And I think it was the comedic timing. I mean, Lucy Moss and Toby Marlowe were just great writers and great directors. I mean, it was nice to be led, especially by a queer space, especially in that show.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking as well, actually, shout out to the casting for that as well, because
Harry Blue and I, we shout out to you.
A queer show with basically all queer cast.
I think the majority of actually was trans, bisexuals, gay, like
I live for that.
Even the dressing rooms were mixed actually.
Yeah.
So we all had no problem with like mixing with the girls, the boys, the non-binary. Like we all like had our own space, and it was quite a safe space to be part of, because even in the creative teams, I mean, Toby Marlowe's non-binary, all the allies, you know, even in the stage management team, there was a lot of non-binary, trans, like we all had everything in that show, which was so amazing to see. So I've never been part of something that was so queer from the top down, which I absolutely adored. I think that's what we need more of 100% in the future. And I think it just shows care for it. And I think that's why Why I'm So Single was so special. Like everyone cared for this project and everyone cared for this show. Especially the cast, like the creatives, like we all loved it, and it came from a place of heart. And I think that's why it did so well, and I think it resonated with a lot of people. Obviously some people didn't understand it, and that's okay as well, but you know what I mean, like the people that it did touch, that's all that mattered to us.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that you bring up the thing about the dressing rooms there, because it's something that I'd picked up on just from some of the social media and also from talking to some of the other cast as well.
And it's unheard of, really. You never really get that. So when I tell people that, they're like, oh, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of normal to us now. Do you know what I mean? Which is actually amazing for me anyways. I've lived that experience.
Yeah. It's a very strange thing, and of course a very emotive thing at the moment with all the stuff that's come out with from the Supreme Court ruling, you know, and about the single sex spaces. But actually, for those of us that are queer, things are different about the way that we, you know, the places that we feel safe. We don't necessarily, and certainly as a gay person, I don't necessarily feel safe in a space which is a masculine space. And so actually, what needs to happen is that theatres need to look at and companies need to look at the cast that they've got and find out what works best for their cast. And I thought that was so lovely, and you know, and so respectful of non-binary people. It wasn't like, now we're going to have a man room and a lady room
and a non-binary room.
We had the option for it as well. As in, like, we had the option of who we wanted to like go with. Like, it was it was an open space, and I love
Yeah.
that. I think we need to have more of that in the future, like everywhere. Like, I mean, some place. I mean, it's still hard to like change that now. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of musicals that won't have won't reflect that. But I mean, the musicals that can do that kind of opportunity, I think 100% that should be the way forward.
So that's really interesting. And of course, Why Am I So Single is, I just loved it. And it's interesting you picked up Disco Ball, because in both of the other episodes where I've spoken to people from Why Am I So Single, we've talked about Disco Ball in quite a lot of detail. And, for me as well, at that moment, I never thought I would see that on stage. And
I never thought I'd be performing that on stage as well either. I think that's what made it so, like, when you see that number, it just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It is like a ball of energy. And like,
I do be thinking about it still, to be fair. Oh, Nancy, darling! Oh my God.
It got us riled
Gives you goosebumps.
up.
It gives you
Honestly,
goosebumps.
We'll be in the wing and you can just feel the energy from every single person wanting to just do it justice as well. I think also with Joe's performance, I think we as an ensemble really just wanted to amplify what they were giving, because what they were giving was something that was just unbelievable to watch. Even on the stage, being like looking at them and pointing disco ball, like it was just unbelievable to see what they were giving. And then also seeing the audience's reaction when they think, oh, it's a really like upbeat, funny, like, oh, this is another one of Oliver's, jokes and stuff. And then once they really deep what's actually happening within the lyrics, they're like, it's like, oh God, here we go. And then people start to really like feel it and like know, and seeing that kind of like switch in the audience and knowing that we've done the job that we've done, I'm like, we did it. Like, it was so rewarding as a number. So rewarding. Loved it.
I think for me as well, thinking about Oliver's character and like how Joe Foster performed it, I originally auditioned for the role.
Yeah.
And I remember getting the note bash and getting the sheet music.
The note bash was crazy.
I remember just because obviously this is a new musical, so I wasn't part of the workshop or anything like that, which I know a lot of other people were. So I just got this song and I was thinking, oh, Disco Ball, this sounds great. Put the note bash on, and then I was like, oh, this is nuts. This is crazy. And I remember that was probably one of the hardest songs I've ever had to audition with. And watching Joe do it, I was like,
wow.
God damn.
Yeah, goddamn.
Yeah, they did really well. Like, it was amazing watching them do that.
The other thing that I also loved was the ensemble and all the stuff you got to do as an ensemble. I mean, Josh, and I think if ever the role of a fridge comes up.
Oh my God, and a bee. When am I ever going to play those characters again? It was, I mean, when I first walked into the room, I mean, with this show, when you're watching it, like when I first read it, I mean, I had no clue what I was getting myself into. I mean, like when the casting brief came out, I mean, it was just 20-year-olds that are queer looking, like young, that can dance commercial and can tap a bit. I'm like, okay, great. Why am I so single? What's this musical going to be about?
Yeah.
I step into the first audition and it is just pure commercial. We did 8 dates as our first round. And at this point, there was also no recording of it either. It was just like from the workshop.
Wow.
And so we just had to like listen to this video whilst we were also auditioning. I was like, right, okay, what am I getting myself into? And then the rounds kept going, and then I was in for arty cover. I mean, I had the choice of going in for Oliver cover as well, but I chose not to because I thought, actually, I'm not of that story to portray, if that makes sense. I thought, like, especially when a upcoming musical, I thought Toby Marlowe's part of it, like all these like non-binary voices like should be heard rather than mine. So I was like, okay, let me try and go for arty cover because I like at least that's like something to do, and that's his song is fab as well. I mean, he got a tap number out of it. So auditioned for that, and we did See You Never, I think, did a few rounds of that, and then the finals, and then a week later got the job. We did a read through, and then we got showed the model box and what the show is going to be like, and then the costumes. So this is where I'm like, okay, like what is happening right now? So there's curtains being shown, there's fridges being shown, there's plants being shown of us. I'm like, what is going on?
What was your initial reaction to that?
I mean, so basically we had base costumes. So like they even modeled our base costumes out of our Instagram. So it was very much us on the stage.
That's so lovely.
So that was really nice, actually. So like we had so much of us in the show, which made it so special. And then that got shown, and then next thing you know, a fridge costume gets shown. And I was like, what? I absolutely loved the idea of it, but I just thought, like, what are we gonna be doing? Because at this point we hadn't staged anything. I wasn't part of the workshop or anything.
Yeah.
So I was just like in for the ride. And then next thing you know, I see this bee costume and I'm like, I really hope that's me. Like, as in, I literally whispered under my breath, and I remember seeing Ellen Kane right next to me, and she just looked at me and was like, and then next thing you know, she was like, Joshian, you're gonna be the bee. And I was like, oh my God. Everyone looked at me. I was like, I knew everyone knew I was so excited to become the bee. Like, I thought that was just such a fab costume. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever be in a show. I mean, who knows if there's gonna be any more shows written like this again.
The Fridge the musical.
The Fridge the musical, I hope so. But it was such a fun way of just doing it, because like we were always supporting the storyline and, you know, like being part of like Oliver's journey and just helping them out. You know, it was so fun to do. I mean, playing a fridge, whoever gets the chance to do that. I mean, I had a light up
freezers
door,
next.
you know what I mean?
That's it. That's
but
good.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, we had like plants, we had curtains, we had everything of this sort, and it was just so fun to be creative in that way as well. I remember like in the first day, we're like, how would a fridge move? Like, how would a curtain move? And like we would even like workshop things like that, and it was just so funny, but so well done. I think Lucy's brain, how she thinks, is like, guys, just go to your absolute max. Whatever makes her laugh will just work. And you know what? It did. It really did. Her direction was just amazingly done. And you know, she had the vision and she smashed it out of the park. I mean, there was so much pressure when it comes to, you know, 6 being the previous musical for them. That, you know what, just trusting them and just like knowing their vision, just I absolutely like, it was amazing to see like how they worked in that way. But who knows if I'll ever get to play a fridge again, honestly.
I was just thinking actually about Lucy's previous experience as a director. I was thinking about Legally Blonde and
with
Joe Foster again, and with the dogs in that, and making the dogs into you know being
Babe, so
played
silly.
played by actors.
Brilliant. I mean, I guess in Regis open air park, I mean, having actual dogs there would be a bit of a
nightmare.
bit of a faff. I mean,
health and
God
safety.
knows what- I mean, planes going around everywhere. Like, oh my God, and then rain happening. So honestly, brilliant. I mean, I think they met on that show, I'm pretty sure, and then ever since then have like been in contact. And like, you know, obviously when I was single, they came up, and I remember like Joe telling me how then they approached them about, you know, writing this new show and stuff like that. But yeah, Lucy working on Legally Blonde was also fantastic. I mean, I watched Legally Blonde in my second year of college, and I thought it was I thought it was so funny. I thought it was just like, I mean, they had a trans person as well in the Delta News, which I thought was fab. You know, like it was very progressive as well. And like, I mean, that cast was brilliant.
They were.
Nevers, like Connie Bowen. I mean, it was a fab
Courtney,
cast.
take your break.
Yeah, it was
he
a
ate that. He really ate that.
Fab show. So yeah, I mean, she's just brilliant. I mean, the dog. I mean, Joe Foster being a dog was just absolutely hilarious. And at that point, I didn't even know them yet. But knowing them now, I'm just like, oh, of course you were.
It was one of the first interviews I did for this series. Was Joe and Liam, who played the dogs in Legally Blonde, and that was a very fun conversation that we had there. But yeah, and actually, it's only just occurred to me, I don't think I'd ever thought about what your experience would have been like as students seeing some of the shows that you would have seen. Because there's been a big, I'm not sure that it's been like in one direction, but I think there's been a big change in the sorts of shows that have been put on over the last 5 to 10 years. I think, unfortunately, it's kind of moving a little bit backwards at the moment. But certainly, you know, just after the pandemic, there were loads and loads of queer shows or queer retellings of shows. And so I was wondering if there was anything while you were students, if there's anything that you saw that kind of really inspired you.
I mean, for me, one of my favorite musicals when I was in college was Standing at Sky's Edge. I remember that coming out in my third year of college in 2023, and I watched it at the National Theatre. And that was, that obviously I mentioned about that queer relationship with the two women. I mean, I absolutely adore that.
I've always loved Kinky Boots. I had always loved Kinky Boots. Kinky Boots was one of the, I wouldn't say one of the first musicals that I watched, because it wasn't. It's probably like one of the, maybe like 5th or 6th I'd watched in London. So this was a time where I was in high school. I think I was maybe like year 9, and me and my family had come up to London to watch a show. We were meant to watch something that got cancelled, so then we ended up getting tickets for Kinky Boots, and I was like, Kinky Boots? Boots that are kinky? I don't know if I want to be watching this with my damn parents and with my mum and my dad sat in the middle between them watching some Kinky Boots. Sounds very suspicious. Anyway, turns out it's like the best musical ever. And it's like completely like sort of altered my brain chemistry, and I just absolutely adore it. So then for me, I was like, I want to be an angel.
Yeah.
It was just a thing. I was like, I just want to be an angel. Like, I want to have that experience. I want to have that. I want to feel that. I want to be in those heels. I have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And then randomly, I was doing my final year musical at drama school, and then the director for the concert was a friend of the school and also lived in the area that we were doing the show. And he just randomly came in, watched the dress rehearsal, pulled me, and then was like, can I like check your waist for like measurements, basically trying to see if I could fit in a costume. And I was like, yeah, we'd like to book you to be an angel in Kinky Boots. And I was like, what? Like, I just woke up that morning, did a rehearsal, and then I got my first West End contract. Like, that's crazy. So that was very full circle to me, because that was like the job that I wanted to do. Yeah. And it's like, I just got it straight up from drama school. So that was very rewarding. But there's lots of things, like even Jamie, like watching Jamie and stuff like that and seeing how that story was told, that was always something I wanted to do. That was always something that I wanted to like, I wanted to tell that story. I wanted to show my version of Jamie, you know? Yeah.
Jamie was one of my first ever musicals I was actually introduced to. And actually, funny enough, it was introduced to my good friend Gio, who actually then transitioned recently, actually a few years ago. But back in the day, like, they showed their parents this show, and that's how kind of like how the parents got to understand what being queer is like, and that at that point they just come out as gay, so they haven't transitioned yet. And for me, I was like, oh, this is so new, and obviously the mum song and stuff like that, and it just got them closer as a family as well. And I think that really is so that, like, even like the effect of Jamie with like even a small family like that I knew beforehand, like they introduced me to the show, and then I got to do the show. I was like, this is, for me, that was full circle as well. But you just never know what these stories can do, and I think that's what's so special about, Jamie, for us, we love telling our stories.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can use queer.musicals on Instagram or Facebook, or you can follow me at Dr. James Lovelock on Instagram. It's really funny because actually I've been thinking recently that I suppose we see everybody's talking about Jamie and Kinky Boots as being almost sort of quite conventional queer stories now. And that is certainly something we've spoken about on the podcast, that they have a mainstream appeal, that there is a certain way. I guess that people are more comfortable now with seeing that version of queerness, or that version of a gay man or a gay person. But actually what we forget is how important they were when they first came out. And, and it's actually...
it's the blueprint, like...
Yeah. Jamie came out, I think, 2017. Kinky Boots has been around longer than that, I think. I can't remember. Sort of
like 2009, 2010?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And actually, one of the other things I was thinking with Kinky Boots is the thing that's so important about it is it's probably one of the first black gay characters.
Exactly.
Because I think the thing that always annoys me about Kinky Boots is like, oh my God, Charlie, I could just punch him in the face. It's so bloody annoying.
He has some great songs though. I love that.
A good vocal, but I get you. I totally get
He's just a bit whiny and wet.
Just a bit.
And to be honest, a little bit too straight for my life.
And leave that girl. Just leave her. Just get rid of her. She shouldn't even be in the musical. Get rid of her.
The thing as well, the history of Wrong Guys, oh my goodness, the number of times I've had to sit through that as an audition piece.
Oh my gosh. But that's one thing. And it's so interesting, because touching on that, because Courtney played that in the concert, and it was like that, watching that live and seeing the audience go for that was so impeccable. Like she did it brilliantly, and now she's reprised the role, and I'm so happy for her. And as well, I did mention Kinky Boots, and I felt so disgusting not even mentioning the King, Cedric Neal. Like being able to stand next to Cedric and just watch him perform, just even breathe the same air as him, was like everything for me. Like I will always say that he's like my musical theatre dad. Like he might not want to own me, he might not want me as his son, but it's happening. Like do you know what I mean? Because he's just like he's the musical theatre god for me. Like his storytelling, chef's kiss, brilliant.
I saw Cedric in a show called The View Upstairs, and it was one of the musicals that made me really want to find other musicals that people didn't know very well and share them with people, and that's kind of what my research has become now.
Love it.
But I love that about Kinky Boots, and that the opportunity that it gives people to work together, that wouldn't necessarily always have that chance. And I think that's really important, and and having it a show where there are multiple queer characters, multiple queer black characters, and yes, even though the angels, I guess, don't have too much to do in terms of narrative, but it's really important to have that representation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was going to circle back to everybody's talking about Jamie.
Yes.
And I was going to think a little bit about how you played the role of Jamie, because you both covered that, didn't you?
Yes.
I don't know whether you went on for it at all.
No,
Joshian.
I never went on, but I covered
rude.
basically every other character on that. Even more, honestly, trust and believe. I was swinging on that show, so I mean, as a swing, you kind of just know you have to like do other things, especially on tour. I mean, things go down and, you know, people go off, so... Honestly, it was a four-winded ride for me anyways. But learning Jamie was quite special. Knowing that like an Asian person could be playing Jamie to me was so special in itself anyways. Although I would have loved the opportunity, but do you know what I mean? Things happen and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was, I think learning Jamie was just amazing. Like, I think like getting the opportunity to like delve deep into his like character arc and stuff like that, and watching it, I mean, from Ivano and Finton as well. Like, it was so nice to see like people of color, like, you know, going through this journey every single night as well. And, you know, like having to like, you know, also think about that journey as well in it. You know, I absolutely loved it. Just even like having the opportunity to cover him like was so special to me. So either way, I was happy with that, like happy with, you know, being part of Jamie in a sense. Yeah.
And what about you, Finton? How did you find covering that role, and how did you find finding a different version of it, I guess, to the other people who played it?
For me, I just wanted it to be rooted in truth. And obviously Jamie is a character, you know, obviously he's a real person, but he is a character. But I really, like I say, I wanted to give my own experience of it. Like, I am Northern, I am queer, I am of colour, and like I've had this lived experience, and do you know what I mean? So it's like I wanted to show my lived experience on that stage, and I wanted to bring that iteration of it. And for me, like, there's so many like mirroring points in the story to my life. Like, I wasn't allowed to go to prom. Like, my teacher said that I couldn't go to prom.
No way.
Like, yes. Like,
rude.
Yes. Homophobes.
Yeah.
But like, there were so many like little mirrors to it and parallels. And I think the more and more that I played with the role, and the more and more that I just sort of gave it into the emotion of it, like, there were certain points in the show where, because it is a marathon, let me tell you as well, because he really is like hardly off stage.
Yes, yeah.
And it's just constant go. And you just see Jamie, like, you just see the whole thing. Like, and I feel like because I've lived that experience, it almost felt like every single time I was on that show, when I was playing Jamie, it was like I was living it.
Yeah.
It felt like I was really living it. Like, I really did, like, Dean was really horrible to me. Like, I was really scared of Dean, but like I also really fancied Dean, you know. I was feeling all these things. And I think, my Jamie was really rooted in truth and honesty. Like, I really, really wanted to just like leave everything out there, every single show. And I think that's one thing that I feel like I did quite well. And I always wanted to do too much to then have to bring it back. I didn't want to have to do too little. So just being able to tell the story was just amazing. Like, it was just beautiful. I don't think I'm ever going to have a job that's like that again, because there's just so much resemblance to me and my story. So it's like, it was just so rewarding. Rewarding.
I'm sure you will have jobs like that again. I think one of the things, because actually when I'm doing these interviews, I'm mostly talking to people probably in their 20s and 30s. And it has occurred to me that actually that's where most of our queer stories are at the moment. They're written about teenagers or people in their 20s. And actually it would be so interesting to have more stories about people in their late 40s. Think about me there. Think in their 30s, 40s, 50s, you know.
Like falsettos kind of vibes.
Yeah, and there is a big gap at the moment, because falsettos is a very different story to my experience, for example, because it's, you know, about people that are probably 10 or 20 years older than I am. And so I think there's lots and lots of stories, and especially now that we're looking at intersections as well, you know, the stories of black people or disabled people or whatever it might be, who are in their 30s or 40s, and what does that mean, and what different stories do we tell there? And I hope as you get older, you'll find that there's more of those sorts of roles out there for you to play.
I hope so. I think so as well. Like I say, there's new works are coming out all the
time.
time.
I mean, it's definitely being written. I mean, Foreplay, that even Joe Foster's in right now, that's been redone for the current age. I mean, I don't know when that first came out, but probably like within the 2000s, whatever. But now that's been updated and, you know, made current and made aware for our generation to, you know, make sense. So, I mean, like, there's definitely more characters being written and more stories to be told, which I'm really, really excited about. I mean, this is like a stepping stone, but I mean, Wham! Was a big stepping stone for that. I think 100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, what you can do with a vision like that, with something silly like fridges and, you know, like plants and stuff like that. I mean, you can tell a story about a non-binary person through that. Like, we've done our jobs, and that's all that really matters.
This podcast series is part of a larger research project funded by the British Academy Early Career Researchers Network Seed Fund on queer gain in queer-infused musical theatre practice. There will be a series of online events from September to December this year that explore this research further. For more information, follow Dr. James Lovelock or queer.musicals on Instagram. One of the things I've been encouraging people to do this series is to talk a little bit about stuff that they've been either workshopping or that they've done sort of small scale productions of where it might lead to other things for that show. And so Finton, I was going to ask you a little bit about Shooting Star, which I know you did a concert version of. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, I auditioned for a role in a new production, which is by Florian Klein, which is... goes by the name in the adult industry world as Hans Berlin. And he's written a musical called Shooting Star, a revealing new musical. And it basically tells the story on the adult entertainment world, specifically the gay adult entertainment world. So it touches upon the has-beens, the newcomers, the relationships within the gay porn world and all these things. And I did a short sort of concert version at an event in Spain, which was brilliant. Like, it was lovely. Like, I love a concert where you can just sing and just really like do something. And it was fab. It was brilliant. And we're hoping for it to come back to the UK. It's done a little run, I think. I can't remember where it's done. It's done a run somewhere in the UK in London. And they are hoping for it to come back to do an off West End run.
Amazing.
So hoping, fingers crossed, that we get to do that, because the characters are fantastic. Yeah. The music is brilliant. And it's just a really camp, brilliant time. Like, I think as well, people want to hear stories from things that they don't know about. And I feel like it is a bit of a taboo world to talk about. And it is a bit of an underground world. Yeah. And luckily, from doing this concert, I was able to sort of be around... You know, I wasn't around everybody, but I was around a few of the people in the industry. Yeah. And it was so... Because one of my favourite things to do is people watch. Yes. I love to people watch. Like, because you just get to gain knowledge and just see how people work and stuff like that and how they all interact. And I was just sitting by and I was watching people and seeing all these entertainers that have come to this concert to support this musical about their industry, really, and the way that they connect with each other, it almost reminds me of ballroom. And like, because within my community of ballroom and voguing, like, we are a chosen family, and it was very much like I could just see such resemblance in that industry with like my voguers and with my ballroom community. And I was like, wow, it was really touching. So I hope that we get to, it's meant to be coming back, hopefully, fingers crossed. And, you know, we get to tell that story more, because it is a brilliant musical. Yeah. It's funny, it's camp, it's just great. Great book, great lyrics, everything is fantastic. So hopefully, fingers crossed, to be coming back soon. Yeah, I mean, it's a world where there's not much written about, because I think there's still a sense of shame around the idea of porn. And, you know, and I guess particularly for your generation, it's something that is so important in people realizing who they are, you know, recognizing what their sexuality is, what they like, that kind of thing there. And of course there are other, you know, there are problematic things about porn, but also people do it. That's their story. And, you know, for there to finally be well, I say funny, there have been musicals about porn before. I'm thinking about Debbie Does Dallas, the musical, which was, I think, very different. But, you know, I think it's important that those sort of stories get to be told as well. And so that's very exciting that sort of work is out there. I'm trying to think, have you been involved in any other workshopping or anything else that's
I mean, recently I did parent agency. Isn't very queer. I mean, we had like little like couples and stuff like that in the background of like, you know, storylines when it comes to parents and stuff like that, which I work with. That was brilliant, parent agency. Tim Jackson. Bex, who was the mum on Jamie, actually. I worked with her. Performance. So she was amazing as the mum. So she played like 5 different mums and stuff like that, which she like rotated, and it was just a brilliant show in itself. So I hope that tours. I really hope so good. Too. It definitely has the potential, because the choreographer was Carrie Ann, who is the resident of Hamilton. Like, she did the choreography for 6. Tim Jackson did 2 Strangers and a Cake. So like the team, and I mean, even everybody's talking about Jamie Gillespie Sells. He did the music for it as well. So I mean, it was a very good creative team as well. So I really hope it does something in the future, and it definitely has material and potential there. So that was up and running in where were we? Chester. For a bit, and that was like a 3-week run. So hopefully that carries on and stuff like that. But that was more of like a Matilda kind of musical, but it does have like queer parents in it as well. So.
I mean, that's really important though, because again, that's not something that we see very often in musical theatre. I mean, I'm thinking Spelling Bee, that there's queer parents in that
show. Love that show. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have that too many parents, but we had like a slideshow of like different people, and it was kind of just funny. Do you know what I mean? But that's why I mean, going back to the point the earlier of that, integrating just like it part of the show. Do you know what I mean? Without having to be a thing. Like, it's nice to just see that nowadays. You know what I mean?
So, Joshian, you did a tour with Johannes Radebe. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I mean, that was a very queer. I mean, I feel like Hamilton's probably the most straightest show I've actually done so far. I mean, that was very, very queer. I mean, we had feather boas. Like, Johannes as a person is just so eccentric, and now he's doing Kinky Boots as well. I mean, he is just a ball of energy and just so openly queer and so proud of his culture. I mean, proud of his South African culture as well. So we got to tell his like storyline through his like movement, and like how he got brought up, and finding himself as a queer like as a queer person, just like on the stage and also in front of like people, and like dancing in front of everyone. But he is so loved, so loved by the fans.
And one thing I will say as well is that he is, and genuinely probably like the biggest gentleman I've ever met in my life. But he is so respectful, like such a gentleman.
He is mesmerizing. He is absolutely mesmerizing to just work with as well. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy it. I think the energy that he gave the company was stellar every night. Like, you couldn't not like give that energy back as well. And I think that's what I actually loved working with that whole cast as well. I mean, got to work with some of my best friends, and like now friends that have gone to Broadway. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone's kind of moved on and done their own thing. But what a fabulous cast and what a fabulous company to be part of. I mean, Johannes, like, he's smashing it now as though I haven't yet seen it because obviously it's been sold out. But he's just fab to work with. That was my first contract like within college as well. So that's kind of where my queerness and showing the world like like queer stories and stuff like that was my first taste of it, which is nice before Jamie started.
I've just got one more question that I was going to ask you both that I've asked everybody on this series, and that's about the future of musical theatre, and particularly what sort of stories, what sort of queer stories would you like to see told in musicals that are being written at the moment or that get written in the future?
So I think for me, I really would love to see, obviously, I want to see all stories told of all different genres and from different backgrounds. But for me, I want to see more like queer POC stories told.
Yes.
And I think for me, I really, really, really want somebody to tell a story truthfully about the AIDS crisis and like how we've lost so many amazing people. And I think that should be a story, right? I feel like we need to bring this sort of, I feel like our culture from Stonewall riots, us getting accepted, us having equality, then not having equality, and trans liberation, and all these things. I think we need to have this into a musical. Like, I feel like we need to tell this story on a wide scale. And on top of that, like, for me, I am just desperate for there to be a musical at the intersection of ballroom and voguing. Like, we've got Cast the Jellicle Ball.
That was amazing.
And listen,
did you watch it?
Yes.
You went to watch? You went to watch it?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
You went to New York and you watched it?
I did. I was in New York while it was on, so
oh
it was
my gosh,
so good. Yeah.
We need to talk about this.
Yes.
We're gonna have to talk about that. But I'm desperate for it to come over. Like, I'm so desperate. And yeah, I really want to, like, I want musical theatre to branch out more. Like, we've got things like Come Fall in Love. Like, we're telling stories from different communities and stuff like that, and that's what I think we should really, really, really like keep doing and keep driving forwards. Like, that's one thing that I want to do as well. Like, I know that I'm going to write in the future, and like I've already got these plans and ideas, but it's just finding the right time. But I just hope that for the future of musical theatre, like, we keep pushing out these new works and we keep telling these stories from communities that just haven't had the voice to tell them. So hopefully.
Yeah, I really hope there's more like Filipino stories.
Yes, because you're like, we're getting so many more different.
If you think about it, I mean, there's representation and stuff like that, but especially Filipinos for me. I mean, I'm Filipino, so obviously I'm a bit biased. But we have so many, like, there's so many of us out here, like, doing the thing. I mean, think Eva Noblezada, Leah Salonga, like, we've got Kana that's now in, well, that's finished Starlight Express.
Yeah.
We've got Geraldine, who was Anne Juliet. Like,
yes.
Like, we have my friend Renz that was in Tacita of the original cast of Starlight Express. There's so many Filipino performers coming up, and that's, for me, being with them at the forefront of kind of just like us showing us who we are and the talents that we can like give. It would be nice to have a story where it is about us.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think, you know, there's definitely a lot of stories that are to be told, but obviously when it comes to, you know, like producing and stuff like that, God knows if it's gonna, you know, relate to the thing. But I really hope that that's the way forward when it comes to our stories, because we tell a lot of other people's stories, I think. But I feel like having our own story would be so refreshing to have, especially when there's so many of us that dance down, sing down. Like we love all of it. There's so many of us that can do it. So why not? You know what I mean? Why not there be a story for us? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, one of my ambitions, and I don't know how easy this will be, but I really want to set up a network for writing musicals with LGBTQ protagonists. But my big ambition with that would be to be able to tell some of these stories at the intersections. And it's, you know, it's a big question, and I'm kind of leaving the listeners with this question a little bit as well, but thinking about how can we get these stories, how can we help people to tell these stories, how can we find spaces for them to be able to be produced, and how do we get the ball rolling with them, and then hopefully eventually, you know, we find spaces for them in larger venues. But for now, I think it's about helping people to write things and giving opportunities for them to be able to perform them and perform them to an audience. So hopefully that's something that happens in the future. And, you know, I'm really excited to see some of these stories in the, you know, as they get developed. It's been so lovely to talk to you both today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And thank you everybody for listening at home, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Represent, the Queer Musical Theatre podcast. The research for this series is funded by the British Academy Early Career Researchers Network Seed Fund and supported by Sheffield Hallam University. The episodes were recorded at the Content is Queen podcast studios at the Makerversity at Somerset House. For more information, go to contentisqueen.org. Next week, we are joined by writer Eve Blake and actor Mary Malone to discuss Fangirls, the smash hit Australian musical that ran at the Lyric Hammersmith last year. See you then.